If you've been researching making a move to Georgia but can't decide if Georgia is the right place for you, then this is your video. How should you determine if this area will meet your needs? Is it going to have the amenities and stuff that you're used to? Can you actually afford it?
The question is, can you afford it? What's your name?
Hi, I'm Sarah Maslowski with KeyPoint Homes Group, a local real estate agent specializing in helping clients all over the country relocate right here to Georgia. If you've been trying to decide if a move to Georgia is right for you, this is your video. One of the first things I will recommend you do if you are considering making a move to Georgia is spend time here on an exploratory trip. I get people reaching out about wanting to move to the area, but they've never visited. Now, I understand if you have a job that is bringing you here, or you have family here and you just need to be closer to them, and you really don't have a choice in the matter. I can understand making a move without spending any kind of time in the area because sometimes life just happens and you don't have a choice. If you do, however, have a choice on moving here and a choice on which area you're going to end up, I would most definitely recommend making a visit and spending time in the various towns that might work for you. Buying a house is a huge deal. It's not like ordering a pair of jeans online that don't fit and then you can just send them back. Anybody else struggle to find jeans? Ugh. You want to make sure that the area and the home are a good fit for you. It's a huge financial commitment, and sometimes I'm honestly surprised at how little research people do before deciding they're going to make a move. That's why I make these videos, to guide you on what it's like living in the area, what town might fit your needs well, and because I want to be the real estate agent to help you with this move. After helping hundreds of families that have found me on YouTube and used me as the realtor to buy a home here, after thorough discussions with someone about their wants and needs, I can usually tell pretty quickly whether or not Georgia or a specific area is going to work for someone. So what are some big things you should consider before making a move? One big thing you should keep in mind if you're thinking about making a move here to Georgia is that the north half of the state and the south half of the state are two totally different worlds. I just made an entire video talking about how drastically different these two areas are, so make sure you go check that out here. A vast majority of the state's population chooses to live in the north part of Georgia, specifically in the towns around the metro Atlanta area, which is what I'm going to be talking about today, since chances are that's where you're going to end up if you do decide to make a move. One thing I often hear from people who visit the area from other states is that they wish certain towns that they were interested in were more developed, or that things were closer together and you didn't have to drive so much from one part of the town to another. For example, someone recently came for an exploratory trip to see if Cumming would be a town they would consider moving to. And they said that it took them forever to get everywhere because everything is so spread out and in different directions. And the traffic was worse than what they had expected. Now, there is obviously nothing that will change to make things less spread out aside from more development in between these areas, but that will just increase traffic more. On the other hand, I get clients from places like California and New Jersey that talk about what a joke it is that we are constantly talking about people's opinions of the bad traffic because to them, it is nothing compared to where they are from. Everything is all relative, right? I recently had a client event and got to talk with a bunch of my clients who had bought homes within the past couple of years, and a vast majority of them moved from other states to get here. I helped clients move from Colorado to Cumming last October, so they have been here for a full year. And they said that they had a very different experience of living in Cumming and talked about how they could leave their house, run to the grocery store to grab a bottle of wine, and be back in their driveway in less than 5 minutes. They also made another really interesting point that made me really happy, and that was that they felt like that even though they've been here only 1 year, that they have been able to create many more friendships and quality relationships than they did in their 4 years that they lived in Colorado. Ben, the husband, said that he loves to golf, and he said that he has met a lot of other people at the course that he plays at, and they immediately welcomed him, and now all of their families get together and hang out. They said they have also made lots of friends through their daughter's preschool, that they have been able to meet a lot of other families with kids around the same age, and obviously they like to get together so their kids can play outside of school. He said he didn't know it was just Southern hospitality or what, but that people here are so much more welcoming and social than what they were used to in Colorado. Obviously, this is really exciting for me to hear. I mean, you just never know what kind of experience someone is going to have after moving to a brand new state. But it's so great to hear from all of the people I have worked with in the past say how much they love it here. We briefly talked about traffic and development earlier, but that is another big thing to consider if you are considering making the move here to Georgia. If you are coming from an area that is fully developed with quick and convenient access to every kind of store and restaurant you can imagine, all within a few minutes drive, Georgia might be a change for you. It's interesting, the locals who have been here for years and years can be quick to say, there's too much going on. We don't need to tear down every tree in town. Or they'll say, there's plenty of houses around here. We don't need any more. So for some, it's too much development, while others wish there was more. I definitely think we will see more and more development happen across the North Metro Atlanta area in the coming years. So if you are looking to make a move to somewhere quiet with not much going on, it's highly likely that the smaller town you choose now will go through some kind of growth over the next 5 to 10 years. If you are looking for an area that is fully developed, so you don't have to wait on these new developments to come, they're already in place, you're going to end up in a more expensive area. And as far as development goes, I guess it's all relative to what you're used to. Most areas that I mention here on my channel, except for those that I highlight that are a bit farther out and would require a bit more of a drive to get to all the shopping, restaurants, and amenities you would want, are very developed. One important thing to note is that we do have several large hospitals, one in just about every county in the Northeast Metro, that if you were going to have a baby or you had some sort of big medical emergency, they would be able to provide you the service. Now, I know of someone who lives in a small town in Pennsylvania and they were having a medical emergency and they were transferred through 3 different hospital systems, eventually ending up in New York because it is such a less developed area that the hospitals aren't equipped to handle those things that these bigger hospitals can. This often happens to people down in South Georgia as well. I know there are people that have to drive quite a ways to see a doctor in another town when they are pregnant because their local hospital is so small and doesn't have the capacity to deliver babies. Here in the Northeast Metro Atlanta area, we have plenty of huge, great hospitals that'll take great care of you. But if you do need to see a specialist, or if you had a very sick child or ended up needing a major trauma unit, you can be transferred to Atlanta where there are even more options for this type of care. You won't, however, have to go to another state like the person I know in Pennsylvania had to. Now, price is another important factor when trying to decide if you should move to Georgia. Like I just mentioned, if you want to be in a very developed area with top-rated schools, tons of shopping and amenities, it's going to cost you. You will be looking at towns like Alpharetta, Johns Creek, Beaufort, and Suwanee. The average sales price in these towns run from $580,000 in Beaufort up to the low 800s in Alpharetta. If you are looking in a town that is a little farther out from the city, which more space and less stuff, essentially, you can look into towns like Jefferson with an average sales price of $480,000, or down in Monroe, which is around $460,000. I recently made a video breaking down many of the different suburbs here in the Northeast Metro Atlanta area, so if you want further information about some of these towns, make sure you go check out this video here. Now, according to our MLS system, the average sales price of the greater Atlanta area is $529,000 at the time of filming this video. Now, like I mentioned, there are some areas where you can find homes for less than this and others that it'll take you quite a bit more than this to get into. I will say, in order to find a single family home that is in livable condition, the minimum threshold for this is going to be $300,000. Although you really won't have more than a few options until you get closer to that $350,000 price point. Now, if you are open to townhomes, this is going to open up more opportunities for you at a little bit of a lower price point. But there are some towns that you won't even be able to find a townhouse for that price. In towns like Alpharetta and Johns Creek, your options under $300,000 are 1 and 2 bedroom condos that were built back in the 80s with likely high HOA fees. One plus side to the cost of living in Georgia, though, is our property taxes. Many counties have great tax rates for seniors on the school tax portion of your bill, which makes up about 60% of your property tax bill. On average, you can estimate your property taxes to be roughly 1% of your purchase price. Compare this to what you pay for property taxes in states like New Jersey, New York, and Illinois. This is a huge break, especially if you are a senior and you can receive even more of a break with some of these other tax exemptions. I like to think of Georgia as the Goldilocks of the US. Everything is not too high and not too low. The weather, the location, the amount of development, it's all just right, in my opinion. There are plenty of other things that make Georgia unique and can help determine if this would be a good place for you, like the abundance of great jobs, great schools, great access. So make sure you go check out this video to learn more about why you should consider adding Georgia to your list. So I'm curious to know what your opinion is. Would you consider making a move to Georgia? I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below this video. If you are thinking about making a move to Georgia, I want to be your real estate agent. You can reach me by clicking the link in the pinned comment below this video. If you are trying to determine which town is best for you, make sure you check out this playlist of videos next.